belong to the Moli Dagbani cluster of languages. And then you have to look at how the land was centuries back. And people moved, there are always pull and push factors that people move from one area to the other. Some say maybe because of the need for shifting cultivation. Some people say because of the need for hunting, because of the search for farmlands and so on. And we are doing research into that. Most of us are involved in trying to put onto record the history of our people. But be as it may, at the time that the colonial masters arrived in this part of the country, they had come from the Crown Colony and the Asantis. And then they came to the north and said, look, we want to protect you. That's how the Northern Territories became a protectorate of the British. And if you look at the trend of affairs, they had been at the coastal area, they came to Ashanti, then they moved up north to Tamale, Gambaga areas, and then they came to the Kusasi land. When they came, we were self-governing. We had Tindanes who took care of the land and who also administered justice at need. And in many cases, some Tindanes wielded a lot of power, giving them the same power as chiefs. Even if we didn't have the term chief per se, as the British would call it. So when they landed here, they had already dealt with the Mamprises in the Gambaga area. And they used some of them as foot soldiers as they advanced to this part of Ghana. And then coming down south from Ouagadougou were the French. And they met in the border areas of Kobogu, Bingo area, Zoga, and so on, where they drew the line. My family was cut into two. Half of my family is in Bingo. They are French-speaking, and they were part of then Upper Volta. And our half remained here, and we are part of the British system, and we speak English. So in those places where the Tindanes were unwilling to work with the British sent back to Nalerigo for them to send their princes to come and help them govern. That is how in places like Tanga and Teshi, we had Mamprises who were chiefs. And the Boku as a center was not so much of a center until 1932, when D.C. Sam, the special agent for the British, whom we may call the District Commissioner, summoned all the chiefs to come together and told them that he wanted to elevate one of them to become the paramount chief, of the area. And that was how our own people decided that, well, they are busy with farming, and since the white man has his head office in Boku, whoever is in charge of Boku should become the messenger who would relay information to them whenever it is necessary. That was how Boku was elevated in 1932 to become the seat of government of all over Kusau. And it so happened that one of the Mamprusi princes, who was chief in Boku, became the head. But that did not imply that the Nairi ruled Kusasi land. That was never the case. In Kukuri, there was a battle, and the Nairi's forces were defeated. And J.K. Sam, in a short history of the crisis, recounted that. So at independence, or when we were moving towards independence, we saw a contradiction. We were driving out the British because we didn't want them to rule us. How come that some other ethnic group would come from somewhere and rule all over Kusasi land? It hasn't happened in Katsina area, hasn't happened in the Dagati land, hasn't happened in Dagbang. It certainly hasn't happened somewhere in Ashanti land. Why should it happen here? And so, because of that said, Listowell appointed a commission, 3-man commission. The Duma Hene, lawyer Afari, and then Canton Tumde Tumukoro, Canton Luri. The 3-person commission sat in Boku for a number of months to investigate the issue, and they wrote their report. The Kusasis legitimately ought to be in charge of their own affairs. At the time, Burago Azoka, who owned the land, and he gave the land for the British to build their district office in Boku area, was clearly a landowner in Boku, and he was selected as chief of the Kusasis, which became the genesis of Kusasi domain and Kusasi's dominance in the whole chieftaincy issue. And Aburaga Azoko effectively appointed chiefs where he felt they ought to be appointed, as a result of a selective system where the people, the Kusasi themselves, advised him as to who should be their chief. And that is what the system was until the overthrow of Kwame Nkrumah in 1966, when NLC Decree 112 dethroned Aburago and brought Mamprises back into power. Well, what Rawlings did was to repeal that decree. And when that decree was repealed, the status quo prevailed. Aburago took over his reign as the Zugurana, and his descendants took over as reign of the Zugurana. And that is what it's going to be. It will not be reversed. The matter has been litigated all the way to the Ghana Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court has said that status decisis, that is what is going to remain. They should never bring the case back. So that matter is a non-factor now. It's resolved. And if I were any other ethnic group and they want me to become the head chief in Boku, I would even run away as fast as I can, because Kusasis are not sheep. We will not sit down to be ruled by any foreign group. We are all Ghanaians. Those settler people in Boku deserve the right to be there, because for all generations, that is all they knew, Boku. Nobody disputes that. Some of them, their mothers are Kusasis and so on. It's only them who feel that they still belong to that ethnic group coming from Nadegro. But for me, I regard them as sons of Kusasis. So they have every right to stay. But to make any one of them chief of Boku, that will not be accepted. And I'm sure that this current generation will not allow them. Besides that, the law does not support it. The law does not support it. And as I've always told our young people, don't sweat over the small stuff. Don't work yourself into a frenzy. Don't cause a lot of havoc. Don't cause indiscipline in the area, instability in the area. Because the status quo is going to prevail. The laws have been decided in favor of the status quo. So why cause any trouble? And don't deny any other person, whether a Mosi, a Gumba, a Hausa, a Mampriji, the right to all the benefits of Ghanaian citizenship in the area. They have all the rights appertaining. We are all Ghanaians and we have all the rights appertaining. What is at stake is that we want to preserve our culture. And preserving our culture does not mean that we should victimize or make life uncomfortable for other people. That is unacceptable, and I will not stand for that.